What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Cjthecheesedj here, and we are back with another top 10 for you guys today. And today, guys, we are discussing top 10 most difficult creatures to tame. Now, a lot of you guys are probably aware that we have done a hardest creatures to tame video. Well, some dinos have changed, Genesis has come out, and my opinion has changed in regards to that. So guys, a lot of these creatures are, in my opinion, the hardest creatures to tame in all of Ark. Let me know what you guys think of it down below in the comments though. Let me know what you think is the hardest creatures. But without further ado, guys, let's jump into the video. Now guys, coming in at number 10 is none other than the Dodo. Nah, I'm just playing with you. So guys, at number 10, we have the Troodon. Now, you can see this guy down there in the trap. These guys are really difficult to tame. Essentially, what you need to do is you need to feed them your tames in order to tame them up. Yeah, I know there's a lot of tames going on in that sentence, but essentially that is literally it. You've got to feed these guys at nighttime. That is the best time to feed them, and you have to wait for them to actually aggro on your tames, which is the most tedious part of this entire thing. You can see the Troodon is kind of bugged out at the moment, and he's just circling around the little trap, trying to figure out how to get out of here. But this is how you go about taming these guys. Now, in terms of the easiest way to tame these guys, you need to use wyverns. Let these guys feed on wyverns and you will allow them to tame up relatively fast. And you can see here, it looks like our dodos are actually going to get the kill on the Troodon, which is pretty entertaining. So yeah, you need to let the Troodons actually damage and eat them. One way to do so is to weaken your own dinos and then throw them into the Troodon. But it actually looks like the dodos will kill this Troodon, believe it or not, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. But you can see the Troodon is, he did get a couple of hits in, but yeah, that is all you really need to tame up the Troodons. I can't believe our dodos actually killed these guys. And you can see this guy here managed to kill two of the dodos, and he's gone up 0.2%. So just a bit of caution, definitely do not use dodos. You definitely want to use the wyverns. So yeah, they're pretty difficult, they're pretty buggy, and that is why they make the number 10 spot on the list. So let's move on to number 9. Now guys, coming in at number 9, we have the Tusoteuthis, the gigantic underwater squid. This guy is one of the more difficult to tame because he lives all the way underwater. Now, obviously, we're pretty close to the surface here because, well, we spawned this guy in. And, yeah, essentially what you need to do to tame these guys up is you need to get grappled by them with a tame. I would recommend a turtle or a Basilosaurus, anything that has a high amount of health, because these guys will drain the health of your tames. Once you are grabbed by the Tuso, you then want to hop off and feed it a black pearl. Now, this may seem easy in retrospect. It's really not, because these guys can drain the health of your tames very quickly, and you also will be deep underwater. If your oxygen tank breaks, if anything goes wrong, something else grabs you, you're going to be in a bit of a pickle. So you definitely want to make sure that you can survive these guys and you can feed these guys the black pearls, because otherwise you're going to be pretty damn screwed. And you can see here he's managed to grab our turtle, and make sure we've got the black pearl in our final slot, and you can see we can feed it. Now, we have our taming rates on like times 8 or 9, I think it is, and we just fed him 30 black pearls, and that was only enough for 90.8%. But nonetheless, you can see here we're already getting attacked by a bunch of megalodons. Imagine doing this in the bottom depths of the ocean surrounded by mosas and plesiosaurs. It can get a lot worse for you. But guys, the Tuso comes in at number 9 on the list. Now guys, coming in at number 8, we have the Basilisk. The Basilisk is one of those tames where it's kind of a passive tame, but kind of not. You kind of have to get it angry and try to not get it angry at the same time to tame this guy. The way you tame the Basilisk is you need to feed it wyvern eggs. Now, I say wyvern eggs, anything that pretty much you gather by eggs. So Magmasaur eggs, rock drake eggs, wyvern eggs, they will all do the trick in taming the Basilisk. You simply need to drop the eggs down while he's not aggroed. You actually have to be out of aggro range and pretty much leave a trail of said eggs for him to eat them. Now, the problem is if you get him into aggro range, he won't actually tame, he won't eat the eggs. There's just a whole bunch of difficultness that comes along with the Basilisk. You then also have the added benefit of having to try to get said eggs as well in order to tame him. So it is rather difficult to tame the Basilisk. Now, this guy is only found on the Aberration and Genesis map, so do bear that in mind as well. But nonetheless, this guy is still rather difficult to tame, which is why he's at the number 8 spot on this list. So guys, let's move on to the next one. Alrighty guys, now coming in at number 7, we have the Megachelon. This giant turtley boy is one of the most difficult tames in Genesis. Now obviously there's only like 4 creatures in the Genesis expansion, but nonetheless this guy is, in my opinion, one of the hardest creatures to tame in the whole entirety of Ark. What you need to do is you need to swim down, you need to find a fish swarm, which are these tiny little parrotfish swarms, and they spawn randomly all over the map. They're a pain in the butt to see if you don't have a mod or very, very keen eyes. But once you find these parrotfish swarms, you then actually have to guide them up to the Megachelon, which that in itself is a pain in the butt because they are so slow. They attack you, they deal damage, and they can break armor. As well as that, you then also have to try to avoid all the countless other predators that are located throughout the entire ocean. Now, once you get the parrotfish swarm up to the Megachelons, you then have to protect the Megachelons from anything hostile, which is literally everything in the ocean, as well as protecting the fish swarm from saber-toothed salmon, which randomly spawn while taming up the Megachelons. It's happened to me about 3 times now where a saber-toothed salmon has just randomly spawned in and actually eaten all of my fish swarms and stopped me from taming these guys up, which is a pain in the butt. Not only that, these guys take an extremely long time to tame up. Even with your taming modifiers, they haven't actually fixed that yet, where your taming modifiers make a difference to taming these guys up. And they take a very, very long time to tame up you with the fish swarms, unfortunately. So yeah, guys, the Megachelons come in at number 7 on this list. And let's move on to number 6. Now guys, coming in at number 6, we have the Magmasaur. Now, the Magmasaur is very similar in regards to the Wyvern egg situation, but you actually have to grab one of their eggs in order to, well, tame them. Now, in order to do so, you need to head to the volcanic section of the Genesis map, look for the purple crystals, head inside the cave, and look for the gigantic pools of freaking magma. That is going to be a clear indication that you're in the right spot. Now, in order to get the eggs, the easiest way I've found to do so is a 2-man job. Have someone hanging with a Bloodstalker on the nearby cliffs or from the ceiling to get the aggro of the Magmasaurs, then have someone else on another Bloodstalker simply jump down, grab the egg, and get the hell out of there before they roast you into cinders. That is the most effective way I have found to get the Magmasaur eggs. Just make sure the area you are locating first has the Magmasaur eggs before you go about committing, because many a times it is rather unfortunate to complete this plan and then find out there are no damn Magmasaur eggs down below, which has happened to me more times than I'm willing to say. So once you've done that, you then can incubate the Magmasaur egg. Best way to do so is obviously in front of air conditioners. You can do it in the volcano section of this cave. There is a pool of lava that I'm pretty sure has no Magmasaurs in it. It is not that one. That one is full of Magmasaurs. It's somewhere in the cave. I know it is in here because I have used it in the past. But once you get the egg, you then need to get the hell out of there. And that's why these guys are rather difficult for, because they can fire the lava balls, I guess, at you and actually just straight up incinerate you. Why are there so many eggs in that spot? So that can make it rather difficult for you to get away from them, because if you are riding on a tame, the magma ball will actually shoot you off the back of your mount. You then also have to deal with all the onyx and everything else that is associated with the volcanic caves. As well as that, if the volcano does threaten to erupt, you're screwed, because that will instantly kill you and your tame. You can get your body back, obviously, and the egg, but not if the volcano continues to erupt and you lose where your body was. So guys, the Magmasaurs come in at number 6 on this list. Let's move on to number 5. Now guys, coming in at number 5, we have the Bloodstalker. Now, the Bloodstalker, in my opinion, is one of the hardest creatures to tame once again. In order to tame this guy up, you need to farm a literal 1,000 pack of blood packs. Now, that's for a decent leveled one. As well as that, once you actually get into their clutches, you have the risk of not having enough blood packs, your armor breaking, insect swarms following you, killing you multiple times while trying to tame the same Bloodstalker. Has happened to me so many times that I do not like repeating it. It is such a pain in the butt, especially because you're in the bog. You then also need to find the Bloodstalkers to begin with. And mind you, the bog, unless you've got like a very strong tame like a Spino or something, everything will grapple you off. You've got Capros that can grab you off. Once again, insect swarms that can eat you and your tame. Sarcos, Baryonyxes that can stun you in the water. A lot of dangerous stuff lives in the bog biome for a supposedly easy biome. So yeah, now once you actually get grabbed by your Bloodstalker, you've got the risk of another Bloodstalker grabbing you in the process as well. Not going to your proposed one. You then have to try and figure out a way for the actual one that you want to tame to grab you as well. As well as that, if you actually grab them and you try to tame them with the blood packs, you'll notice that it automatically goes on to 50% taming effectiveness. That is because you actually need to raise these guys' taming effectiveness with your own tames. You have to sacrifice your own tames to these guys and somehow get them to grapple them, which sounds easy on paper, but in reality, it really isn't. So the Bloodstalkers are rather difficult, and for that very reason, I put them above the Megachelon and the Magmasaur, because so many things can go wrong in the bog biome, and if you don't have enough blood packs, you're pretty much screwed, because you're going to be wasting it all to try and tame something and then end up with nothing tamed. So guys, let's move on to number 4 on the list. Now guys, coming in at number 4, we have the Rock Drake. The Rock Drake is exclusive to the Aberration map. That is where you have to get his eggs. And he's very similar in regards to taming up wyverns, in that you need to go to the said trench and actually gather the eggs. The only problem is that that trench is absolutely infested with Rock Drake eggs. So you'll constantly get killed. Now, as well as that, it's also flooded with radiation. If you don't have a light pet, multiple nameless will spawn on you and try to eat you. And the moment you try to take an egg, the Rock Drakes will pounce on you and literally murder you within a couple of seconds. Unless, of course, you've got a really strong tame with you nearby, such as a Spino or the Megalosaurus, sorry. And those guys will protect you. However, the Rock Drakes will still try to eat you, and they will pursue you to the ends of the earth. If any of your tames die, you are pretty much stuck down there unless you have like unbreakable climbing picks, because that will be pretty much the only way to get out of there alive with your Rock Drake egg. And then you then have the problem of trying to incubate the egg and gathering food for it, which involves killing Nameless and incubating it with like 25 air conditioners, I'm pretty sure. So yeah guys, the Rock Drake comes in at number 4 on this list. Now guys, coming in at number 3, we have the Phoenix. The Phoenix can only be found on Scorched Earth during a superheat event. Once that superheat event triggers, you will then actually have to track down the Phoenix, which is rather difficult in itself, considering you've got to scour the entire Scorched Earth map and locate this tiny little bird. Now, once you've done that, you actually then need to set it on fire. Now, you can do so with a flamethrower, you can do so with a wyvern, however you want. You can see there, if we get close enough, let's just light it up a little bit more, that will actually enable it to be tamed. Now, once the superheat event is over, the Phoenix turns to ashes. So if you don't actually tame it during this time period, you will actually lose the tame and any sort of progress you have made towards taming it, which is a huge pain in the butt if you're trying to tame one of these guys up. And you can see we've only got him at 1.4%, and this is a level 4 with 10 times taming rates. So these guys are very difficult to A, track down, and then B, to actually tame. And if you don't have the right gear and means of taming this guy up, then you're obviously going to struggle. You're not going to be able to fly around like I am with a bloody flamethrower, unless of course you're adminning on your own server or single player and you want to do it the cheaty way. But if you're doing that, you might as well just spawn it in summoned already. Otherwise, you will need a wyvern and maybe even a trap. Quetzal traps work pretty effectively on this guy as well, and then you can flamethrower it. But guys, the Phoenix comes in at number 3 on this list due to all those various reasons. Now guys, coming in at number 2, we have the Titans. Now, the Titans, they are probably, in my opinion, one of the hardest tames to get. Main reason being because these guys are giant Colossus beings that pretty much act as bosses on the Extinction map. And in order to actually hit their like corrupted nodules, you will need like some high survivability, which is pretty much only provided to you by the mech. And the mech is sort of an end game item, so you will need to be that maximum level in order to be able to hit the nodules rather effectively. And each Titan has 3 nodules that you need to munch down on and destroy in order to tame them up to pretty much knock them out. However, like I said, hitting these nodules can be slightly difficult if you aren't using a mech. You obviously can use guns and rocket launchers and stuff like that, but the easiest way to go about doing it is by using the mech and the pistol shot. And like I said, for that you will need element, you'll need the high level in order to craft the mech, and then you need to make sure that you won't die while using the mech, because these titans can hit hard depending on what titan you're going after, so it is rather difficult to hit all of their nodules and to tame them in the process. But nonetheless, the titans are one of the most difficult tames to get in all of Ark, in my opinion, so that's why these guys are at number 2. Let's move on and find out what's at number 1. Now guys, finally coming in at number 1, we have the Reaper King. In my opinion, the Reaper King is the hardest creature to tame across all of the arcs. Main reason being because you need to find a Reaper Queen, and then you actually need to get implanted by her with the egg and the baby of your Reaper King. After that stage, you then need to go about actually getting all the XP possible you can to get your Reaper King as strong as possible. Now, there are a ton of things that can go wrong. Namely, as soon as you get impregnated by the Reaper Queen, you then actually have to survive her, which isn't always the case with Reaper Queens, and they are extremely buggy in the first place to get grabbed by one. I've tried myself, and it's resulted in a lot of hardships and terrors in trying to get impregnated by a Reaper Queen. You have to deal enough damage to her with your light pets and a strong enough tame, such as a Spino or a Megalosaurus, and then you have to actually get grabbed by her, which, like I said, is a pain in the butt sometimes because it's very buggy. You've got to build traps, you've got to have your light pet constantly with you, you then have to have a shield and survive actually getting impregnated by her, because she leaves you on the broken bones display, which is pretty much like 10 health, I'm pretty sure. You then have to survive with the baby and gather all of the XP. Once that happens, you then actually have to give birth to it, survive that, and survive it raising, which is a whole other drama. You could get raided, wild dinos could come in, it could kill you. It's just a never-ending drama with the Reaper Kings, but once they're tamed up, they are definitely worth it. But in my opinion, these guys are the hardest tames to get in Ark Survival Evolved. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. But other than that, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. I got this soda,